What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a massive breakdown of all of the Season 23 changes worth knowing about, as of course we will be heading into Season of the Wish in the next few days, so I thought I'd round everything up as a kind of recap right here. We'll talk about new weapons, exotics, ritual rewards, and of course, the arrival of a new dungeon, but we also have details on features for in-game LFG, various economy updates, loot buffs, changes coming for vendors, new sources for various rewards in the game. Plus, there are also updates for various ritual playlists, activities, as well as all of the sandbox tuning that we'll see in Season of the Wish as well. And so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the video today. Before we get going though guys, today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. It's a game you've probably heard about by now, sure, but why should you play it? Well, it's the biggest game that you can fit into your pocket or play on PC, and Raid is packed with loads of content, tons of champions, campaign missions, and whether you're tackling one of Raid's terrifying dungeons, which feature a bunch of brutal bosses, or jumping into PvP arenas, there's some awesome champion customization options to adapt how you play across different modes. Raid has more than 700 champions to play as well, each with their own unique skills and abilities to suit your style. And that includes the new legendary champion Sun Wukong, aka the Monkey King, who can block and steal buffs from enemies, reduce their defenses, deal some serious damage, and even self-revive. And super exciting right now is that new players can unlock this character for free by using promo code Monkey King for a limited time. And on top of that, players can unlock an additional 2 epic champions by following the link in the description box, and the rare champion Preserver by using the code I love free stuff. On top of that though, Raid Shadow Legends gets loads of game updates, including the brand new Champion Pass where players can unlock exclusive characters like the iconic Xena Warrior Princess, special thanks to Universal Studios licensing, and this can be summoned in boost events between now and January. So there's never been a better time to download Raid. New players can use my link or scan the QR code on screen to get a free starter pack with 2 epic new heroes, including the Lightsworn, and for level 15 players, the mighty boss killer Juliana is available too. On top of that, once you're in the game, don't forget to use promo code Monkey King to unlock Sun Wukong for free. And so to get the download, follow the link below, and cheers to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring the video. Now though, let's jump in and talk about changes for Season of the Wish. And of course the new season begins on the 28th of November at the weekly reset time. One of the slightly unexpected reveals for Season of the Wish was the return of Dragon's Breath, and this is going to be the season pass reward for Wish. So of course, coming back from D1, where it was always a slightly lackluster weapon, we are going to see updates to the exotic bonuses. And firstly, there is Burn the World, and the fuel counter passively increases the longer you go without firing it to a maximum of 5. And then firing Dragon's Breath empties the counter, transferring all of the fuel to the rocket. And when doing that, rockets can embed themselves in struck targets, causing scorch damage, and periodically ejecting incendiary fuel into pools around the target, and these inflict scorch damage. But they say the more fuel the rocket is fired with, the longer it lasts before detonating and the more fire that it'll spread. On top of that though, it has high octane, and this allows nearby ignitions to instantly refill Dragon's Breath with 2 fuel. Plus when the fuel fully refills, it will reload itself. So that sounds potentially decent, but additionally there is the exotic catalyst that'll be earned via a quest at Banshee, and it passively replenishes your Dragon's Breath fuel faster, but also eliminating combatants with the weapon causes them to spawn fire sprites. And so of course we'll see how it performs in the game, but based on what we're hearing there, I'd say the weapon has a lot of potential, and let us know if you're excited to try out Dragon's Breath in Destiny 2 down below. Additionally though, of course there'll be a new ritual weapon, and this is available from Shax, the Drifter, and Zavala, so it can be earned in the preferred playlist. And the Chivalric Fire is the first Void Caster Sword. Bungie teased that it can roll with the perk combo of Repulsor Brace and destabilizing rounds, but it also has a new bonus called Attrition Orbs, and dealing sustained damage will create an Orb of Power. And so that could be pretty interesting. It will also be cool to see which other weapons can roll Attrition Orbs. And on top of that, Bungie have teased the return of the Eye of Soul Sniper Rifle for Trials, as well as a Strand Adaptive Trace Rifle called the Incisor. And then Iron Banner will see the Lethal Abundance, which is a new Strand High Impact Auto Rifle, as well as the return of the Reese Walker Kinetic Shotgun. And then for the Nightfall, there'll be the Undercurrent, which is a new Arc Wave Frame Breech-Loaded Grenade Launcher, as well as the return of the Azumi RR4. And those of course are in addition to things like the season activity specific rewards, other exotics, and so on. So we'll have all of those to go after, as well as a new Strand Pulse Rifle, which which will come from the competitive division. And we'll talk more about PvP changes in a moment, but Bungie have additionally confirmed that we'll see a new dungeon launching on December the 1st, that's a Friday, so it'll go live at 9 AM Pacific time, and it'll give us just a couple of days to get into the new season before heading into that dungeon. But of course, one of the interesting components for Season 23 is that Bungie will introduce Fireteam Finder. So while we'd initially hoped that full Fireteam Finder would launch at the start of Season 23, it will actually be rolled out in phases, and Bungie have said that there will be an initial raid stress test on November 30th from 9 AM PST to 5 PM, and so during that time they want as many players as possible to jump in, LFG for raids, and to kind of stress test the overall Fireteam Finder system. And then Bungie have said that the full beta for Fireteam Finder should begin in December, pending the stress test results, with a full release for Fireteam Finder targeted in late January. So we're actually going to see it roll out throughout the course of Season 23, but of course there'll be options to matchmake for pretty much any of the content in the game. So it'll certainly be a valuable introduction overall, assuming that it launches relatively smoothly, and I guess we'll see how it goes, but give us your thoughts down below. And that takes us to economy changes for the new season. And these affect rewards, but also various currencies in the game. And firstly, we'll get new rewards for lost sectors, including select foundry weapons from the world pool and gunsmith engrams. So when completing lost sectors on Legend, there'll be a 70% chance for players to pick up additional drops of gunsmith weapons, especially when leaving no champions standing. And master difficulty lost sectors, in addition to chances at exotics, will have a 100% drop rate for extra gunsmith weapons. And Bungie have also said that master difficulty clears will have the advantage of weapons dropping with an additional perk in either the third or fourth column. So it will be a better way to try and get decent rolls on gunsmith weapons. They've also outlined a 4-day rotation for this, which will feature different weapons on specific days. You can see those on screen. So could be a pretty good change right there, and at least adds an extra layer of potential reward if you're farming out exotics and things like that. And this does connect to the Banshee update, which will introduce gunsmith focusing for specific weapons. Obviously to do that, we'll need gunsmith engrams, and those are going to have a high drop chance inside of lost sectors next season as well. But looking more at ritual engrams, Bungie have said at the start of Season of the Wish, ritual activity completion rewards will now include additional drops of ritual engrams from Vanguard, Crucible and Gambit, and this will allow players to focus more often for gear from seasons past and present. And so generally across the board from ritual type content in the game, more rewards are going to be dropping, but additionally, as Bungie have outlined, Season 23 will see the beginning of the deprecation of legendary shards from the game, so they'll be removing legendary shard costs from the Monument to Lost Lights, as well as fully removing the shard costs from gear focusing. So that's the first stage, and later on when Final Shape does drop, those legendary shards will be completely removed from the game. And with the removal of legendary shards in mind, there will be some currency changes at Raoul. And we can see that enhancement prisms will require 10 enhancement cores and 2,500 glimmer. Previously that was 10,000 glimmer. Then for ascendant shards, it'll be 10 enhancement prisms and 10,000 glimmer, with ascendant alloys costing 10 enhancement prisms and 10,000 glimmer, and 5 enhancement cores costing 1 enhancement prism and 2,500 glimmer, with a limit of 3 purchases per week. So they're adjusting some of those costings right there, but additionally we're even going to see energy cost changes for ghost mods. And as you can see on the screen right there, across the board, the energy costs for each of the mods is being reduced at different rates. But overall it means that we'll be able to have more of those bonuses active on ghosts in Season 23. A quick random mention right here though, of course we will get a new cosmetic reward, celebrating the crafting, which was the crafting glitch that happened a few weeks back. And so for everyone who played Destiny 2 between September 15th at 9 AM PDT and September 21st at 10 AM Pacific, this new emblem will be granted. But other more feature-specific changes for Wish include that Bungie are updating the speed of sparrows, so all sparrows in the game will be able to go faster than they can right now, and that'll be on par with the always-on-time sparrow. And so once again, I think players will generally consider that to be a positive change, so share your thoughts below. Now though, let's get into playlist changes, and there will be a bunch of different items affecting various portions of the game. So we don't have confirmation of what we'll see, but Bungie have said there will be additional battlegrounds coming into Nightfall and Grandmaster rotations in Season 23. But on top of that, they'll be adding some new strike-specific medals. Plus Bungie have outlined PvP playlist changes, and they're introducing a new 3v3 quick play node, as well as a 6v6 quick play node that consists of party and relentless modes. But there'll also be a rotation of control modes in a new 6v6 unranked playlists, and they'll revisit which modes rotate through each of those different nodes, so bit of a quality of life update overall. One of those control playlists will consist of Sparrow Control though, where we'll be able to jump on Sparrows in the middle of a control match. So that'll certainly be interesting, and outside of things like the competitive division reward, Bungie are also reworking some of the Trials of Osiris drops, and so moving forward, 3 wins will guarantee Trials armor, 4 wins will guarantee 5 enhancement cores, and then we'll get a Trials weapon at 5 wins, and 3 enhancement prisms at 6 wins. And so the non-flawless rewards are being looked at a little bit there, and of course, there'll still be adept and specific flawless loot. And in addition to that, for PvP players, Shaxx will get a new Legacy Crucible focusing menu, and this will give players the opportunity to focus for competitive division rewards specifically. But in terms of PvP real estate, the Citadel map on the Dreaming City will return to PvP as well. Obviously we'll see this primarily in 6v6 modes, and while of course it isn't a brand new map, it's at least something we haven't had in the rotation for a little while, but give us your thoughts on the Citadel map down in the comment section. Next up though, let's talk about ability changes, and it is another area where Bungie have announced a fairly significant list of updates. And so firstly, they've revealed the new artifact for Season 23, which is the Queen's Foil Censer, and I've got a full video that breaks down all of the perks and bonuses in this artifact, but otherwise some of the big things that they're tuning with the update for Season 23 include that they're reducing damage resistance versus PvE combatants from 55% to 45% on Woven Mail, but they're also looking at some of the other strong bonuses in the game, like Restoration, where they're reducing the healing rates across the board. Plus they reduced the healing amount for things like Devour, but for Feed the Void they've increased grenade energy regeneration per kill while Devour is active. And then very similar to Woven Mail, Banner of War for Titans will also see a nerf, and they've increased the number of enemy defeats necessary to level up the banner by approximately double. Plus for Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn, they've increased the base cooldown time for those supers from 417 seconds to 455 seconds. And so for a bunch of the strongest stuff in the game, we are going to see at least some minor nerfs there, but they're also introducing a bunch of reworks for stasis, and that includes a buff for Winter's Shroud, where they're increasing the slow stacks applied to PvE combatants from 40 to 60, as well as increasing the duration and detonation size. So Winter's Shroud will only get better, and then for Shiver Strike it now slows players on hits, and they fixed an issue where it wouldn't function with the melee kickstart armor mod. Plus for Glacial Quake it now freezes nearby players on cast. And some of these functions are being reintroduced after being removed in previous hotfixes. And then for Howl of the Storm, they fixed an issue where it wasn't consistently freezing targets in contact with the created stasis crystal. And for things like Frost Pulse, they've significantly increased the consistency against fast-moving targets. Plus they've increased the freeze detonation size, and for Penumbral Blast, they're increasing the detonation size when impacting the environment from 1.5 to 2 meters. But finally for the Glacier Grenade, they're reducing the base cooldown time from 152 to 121 seconds. And then they're also increasing the arming shape size for things like the Cold Snap Grenade. And then for Freeze, they're increasing special ammo weapon damage versus frozen targets by 5%. And so while these aren't significant stasis reworks, they're certainly buffs. And with more stasis mods and things like that in the artifact this season, it certainly will increase the appeal of using those classes. So let us know what you think of those ability adjustments down below. In addition to exotic armor and ability tuning though, Bungie have also outlined a bunch of changes for weapons. So general changes include that they're increasing damage against minor and major combatants by 12.5% on pulse rifles. Also for auto rifles, minor combatants will see a damage increase of 10%, and then Bungie have a bunch of generic glaive changes, including increasing projectile speed by 30%, bumping up projectile damage by 25%, and those are PvE changes, but for PvP, projectile damage is being decreased, with aggressives doing 125, adaptives doing 113, and rapid fires doing 101. So general glaives will see a bunch of changes there too. Plus Bungie are increasing sniper rifle PvE damage with a flat buff of 15%. That will also affect exotic snipers like Whisper of the Worm. And then for exotic specific changes, Vex Mythoclast sees a minor combatant buff of 10% in PvE, with boss damage increasing by 25%, and in linear fusion rifle mode, champions will take 200% more damage than they do right now. It's similar for Revision 0 as well, which will see increased damage versus champions by 100%. And then we have the changes to Thorn, and in general, picking up a remnant will be able to overflow the magazine up to 40 rounds maximum, plus there's a new catalyst that grants 20 range and 10 stability, but also getting kills or picking up a remnant will grant additional range, handling, and mobility. Not certain how we'll get that catalyst, but generally with seasonal ones, they tend to be drops from ritual playlists. that. But there's also a buff for exotic glaives, and the class glaives will get a bunch of reworks, which should make them more interesting. But also, Winter Bite will see increased detonation damage by 25% on the large projectile, with the self-damage blast radius being halved. So more damage to enemies, less damage to players is always positive. But additionally, Bungie have teased that Danger Zone will see a rework on rocket launchers, although we'll have to figure out exactly how that works when the season drops, as they don't give us details yet. But they've also fixed an issue where Heavy Grip was creating more incoming flinch than it should have been, and they've tuned the difference between the Precision Instrument and enhanced version of that perk, with the enhanced Precision Instrument damage bonus at maximum stacks going up to 30%. Plus, Kinetic Tremors will require fewer shots for pulse rifles and sidearms in order to trigger the bonus. So there are a handful of pretty good weapon sandbox changes as well. For today though guys, we finally got through a fairly significant list right there of changes that are coming in Season of the Wish. So I hope this recap has been useful. Obviously we will get patch notes on launch day, but I figured we'd round up these changes right here as it's pretty difficult to get our heads around full patch notes on the day that we get new content. So this gives us a good heads up on the majority of the important changes that we'll find in the game. And of course that's aside from the new content that actually drops with Season of the Wish. So let us know what you're most looking forward to down in the comment section. But as always, if you've enjoyed the video today, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Definitely get subscribed if you want to be kept up to date with more Destiny content moving forward. But otherwise, I appreciate you all tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.